So we're going to be just about to, in the next 10 seconds, show you ideas for a hair coloring brand. And the thing to keep in mind is that it's a hair coloring brand, but especially Lorenzo's ideas are very applicable to no matter whether you're selling dog food or you're selling gun holsters, it applies across the board. So stick around and we think you'll like both the ideas. Hey guys, welcome to this episode. We are going to talk about a brand, a hair coloring brand. Let's start off by talking just about, what we do know is that they are uber successful and they have a very, very competent team behind them. So they're growing really fast and they're doing lots of experimentation. And what we want to do is suggest some ideas that can further accelerate that growth. So this is the layout of the page. Looking at the mobile page, pretty standard. You can scroll through the images to see all the options that they have and all the color options that they have. This is a specific hair color. It goes from purple. It takes brown hair and makes it purple. So it's very different than just any hair color to purple or something like that. And then below that, they have these two size options, $32. They have these different shades of purple. They have some CTAs over here. There's a pop-up over here, which I'm going to close. Just standard, there's a video that explains how to use it. And then below that, they actually explain the process of using it. So that is the page. Lorenzo has not actually seen my ideas. So I'm just going to jump into it and talk about the idea itself. The key insight that I had was that my first question was when I came, this is true for all shoppers really, is when you come to any product page, the first thing we hyper focus on is the price point. And, is $32 a lot of money? Is it too little money? I don't know what the prices are for hair colors. The first thing I did was I actually went to Google Shopping and I searched for hair coloring. And I wanted to see what we are competing against. And when you look over here, you'll realize that almost all the options, this one is an exception, and this one, I don't know what the hell these are, but most of the options, and especially lower on the page, these are very low priced items. Now, they may not have that same color option of going from brown to purple, but I just wanted to get a feel for what are we competing against? So my thought was that, people are going to be concerned about the price point. And so what I did was in my concept, and I can zoom this in a little more, I've just added, so right to the next of the price point, I've added a design element and it says new here. And I should pause here and talk about this word choice. So there's a reason why I did not say, normally what I would say, and again, there are 10,000 combinations, but I'll tell you about one of the combinations that I use is called price justification, or, why is it so expensive or something like that. I didn't use it for this example. And the reason for that is because that a lot of times brands don't want to really hammer the price point too much because they might consider themselves to be a premium brand and they don't want to go down the road of saying, we are more expensive, but, we are higher quality. They feel like, they just don't want to do that. So I wanted to intentionally use something very subtle. And I wanted to have this call to action primarily designed to get people who are new here, who have never tried Overton. That's the group I'm trying to talk to. People who have never tried this brand before. They would have so much anxiety. They would have anxiety about, does this color damage my hair? How complicated is it? All those questions that you have when you're trying something for the very first time. So I wanted to have a call to action that would draw the attention of those people. And I wanted to place it right next to the price point because this is where the anxiety starts to form. What I've done for this test is when you click on it, as we always do, when you click on it, we show a modal and where we will now explain our sales pitch. And there are a couple of things to keep in mind. Only the people that kind of are curious about this are going to click on it. So your sales pitch in the modal is going to be completely personalized for that audience. You're not talking about other stuff. And so you have very, very kind of concentrated audience intent. But for this experiment, what I wanted to do was, why just show one message and test it? Why not show two variations of that message? and to see how people respond to it. So now the question is, what should we cover in the first message and what should we cover in the second message? And I'm going to just mention those points over here. So the first thing I would do in the first message is I would talk about the very different approach that we took to the hair coloring game. So because the person who's clicking here is someone who's never used this brand before, one of the first questions they would have is like, there are hundreds of hair coloring products out there. I've used 20 of them myself. What the hell's different about you guys? So I want to address that in the copy, in the pop-up. The next thing I would do is I would actually talk about how getting the color purple on brown hair is a very specific type of problem. It's not just, slapping on the color purple. I'm assuming there's a reason why these guys are focused on just brown hair to purple. There must be some reason, and I would really dramatize that. And what that does is it demonstrates expertise to the buyers. Like, wow, these guys are like not just the color purple or not just coloring hair, it's about coloring hair from brown to purple. And I would really kind of talk about that specific detail. And then the third thing I would talk about is how we had a choice to have slightly inferior ingredients, but we decided against it. So those are the three things that I would cover in the first modal. And then, of course, like I always do, I would ask a question. Our goal at the bottom, it says our goal was to satisfactorily address your questions. Did we? And there's a yes, no button over here. In the second pop-up, so basically this is going to be run as a ABC test. In the second variation, I would talk about how before starting the painful color project, so we're basically saying this was a really fucking hard problem. We brought all the color products in the market and we tested them. So we are going to use implied messaging here. We're not going to say that those products sucked. We're just going to basically say we did a comprehensive study of what was out there and end the sales pitch there. Because now the reader will have to draw the conclusion like, oh, they probably concluded theirs was better. The second thing we're going to talk about is, again, this is the same repetition, but now I'm showing this as the second point in my sales pitch. The third thing I would do is there's a video on their page where they show how to use a product. And I would embed that in the pop-up itself. And if people watch this video, I would then hide it from the main page because they've already consumed that content. And then the final thing I would emphasize here is the customer reviews. So it's going to say, don't take our word, read the stories of 1,377 women, sorry. Oh, no, I didn't know. I don't know if it's women, right? So read the stories of
some guys that use this product. There are some guys that I found in the reviews that use
yeah, that's why I removed the word women. So it's just going to say, read the stories of 1,377 people who went from brown to purple ethically. Now, there's a lot of things that have happened here. First of all, I'm referencing the reviews. The second thing is that I'm again emphasizing these people went from brown to purple, not just reviews. These are reviews of people that are in your tribe. But then I've also used this word ethically. And this is a really important thing. And the reason why I'm using it is because one of their selling propositions is the fact that these guys are 100% vegan and cruelty-free formula. So I want to make sure that we're using that keyword as we're drawing attention to reviews. And then for the feedback, I'm asking a different question this time. Did this quick explanation clear things up? Yes, no. And so I'll be able to then figure out if my sales pitch worked and didn't. So when I run this test, I'm going to track for two things. I'm going to track for the conversion intent of people that saw the sales pitch 1 versus sales pitch 2. But I'm also going to look to see what the consumption patterns were for sales pitch 1 and sales pitch 2. So for example, if sales pitch 2 did worse in terms of conversions, and I look at this number and it says most people said no, voted me down, then I know that I need to rework this copy. And so that's it. So I want to wrap this up really quick. This is my only idea.
See, I have one comment. Can you go in variation 1? I want to point out something. My favorite thing about execution on variation 1 is actually the third point. Okay. And the third point, I'm going to read it out loud. Talk about how we had the choice to go with slightly inferior ingredients, but decided against it, right? This is super, super powerful because you're actually justifying not just the price, but a business choice.
That's
and
right.
Of course, people want good ingredients. So it's almost like doubling down on something that people want. We copy, you can even like oh, we tried these ingredients, like look at the photos of these ingredients that we chose and we tried.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I love that point. I really like it, Rishi.
Awesome,
Great
awesome.
idea.
That's it. I just had one idea today and I broke it down into two variations. And now I'm going to hand it over to you and you're going to run the show.
Let's talk about the opportunity number one that I found, and I called it help the user experience the product.
I love it.
Already, I haven't even started talking about
Once
it.
I see the headline, I know what you're going to talk about.
All right. So I want to highlight a few benefits that people have mentioned in the reviews that they got from the product. So as always, quick show of my reviews mining spreadsheet. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So here, in this bucket, in this topic, benefits, here's all the different benefits that people have mentioned about this product. And the most interesting ones that I found, some of them are on the top in terms of like how many people have mentioned it, others more towards the middle. But they are, my hair is very soft, which was actually surprising. I would have never thought that, a product that is built, actually it's bought for a specific purpose to change the color of the product. I would have never thought that also had that product attribute, right?
What's really interesting here is that actually from whatever little secondhand information I have about hair coloring, I think one of the things that women complain about is that a lot of these hair colors are very harsh. And so they kind of strip out the nutrients from the hair. So maybe this is the consumer basically saying, like, I expected it to be just as harsh, but you appreciate the softness even more. So maybe that's something that, even though they weren't intending for that feature, it's a benefit that the buyer is getting.
Yeah, and this is interesting because let's not forget that this is a conditioner. And in general, a conditioner, the purpose, I've never used a conditioner in my life. I'm not a hair guy. I'm actually losing my hair. But I think the conditioner's job is to make things smoother, like makes your hair a little smoother. The other things that I thought were interesting were smells great, beautiful color, and then makes my hair healthy, right? Which obviously everyone cares about, and then makes my hair feel really good, right? So keep this in mind because I want to talk about a few things. So first of all, the main issue I found on this product page is that there's not enough motivation about the end benefits and the outcome that the user is going to get from the product. I want to highlight a solution that I've come up with. And the solution is I want to help people experience the product outcomes without trying the product, because obviously, we're online, they can't try the product. So my implementation of this idea is, first of all, step one, I would add an anchor link above the fold. Specifically, there's a lot of real estate here, like white space. So I would move up the product image a little bit, and just below it, I would have an anchor link that says, experience it yourself. And for the people that are not familiar with the term anchor link, is simply just like a text, then people click on it, get redirected kind of like a little bit below, basically.
Without the page reloading.
Yeah, exactly. And then the second step is to introduce 4 new drop downs. So again, if we scroll towards the middle of the page, they have 3 drop downs: details, ingredients, and FAQ, right? So what I want to do here, once the user clicks on that anchor link, gets redirected. So I will add 4 new drop downs that will open up by default as soon as the user clicks on that anchor link. And these drop downs are, the first one is how it feels. And I would have a before and after image, actually a gallery of before and after images that just focus, even like from a zoom in standpoint, on the softness of the hair and their health. Then the second drop down is how it smells. And I would have a boyfriend's testimonial or girlfriend's testimonial video compilation about talking about the smell of the product. Then I have a how it looks drop down where we introduce the before and after images for each type of brown color. One thing that I realized is that few customers in the reviews that I analyzed spoke about different shades of brown that they have. And when you're in front of that product, like, okay, I have a very specific type of brown in my hair. How will my hair look like based on the shade of brown that I have, right? And then the other thing that I thought it was interesting is how does the hair look like over time? So I would actually have what I call it before and after over time. So you can pick like one person and you can reward it with like a gift card or whatever. And you ask this person, you could do that with the product packaging. It's almost like you add an additional card in the product packaging that says, you want to become our testimonial, or we're running this test where every X days or weeks or months, you basically send us a photo of what your hair looks like. And again, I want to show people how the product is being experienced from a real person over time, because this is a product that people just not use once and then bye-bye, right? And then finally, you can go, and this is where the fourth kind of like drop down comes in. You can go one step further and introduce how it looks on you. So what I would do here is I would go out and find a potential like VR or an AR Shopify app, because these guys are on Shopify. And what I think could be super useful is, imagine if a lady takes a selfie of herself and uploads the photo, and now she can see before and after with a purple color applied on her own hair color. Obviously, this is not a call to action color type of test, right? Last episode, I had a long rant around testing button colors and so on. So obviously, this is a complicated task. It's not like easy to execute, but you can execute. Okay, let's first start with how it looks, and then let's then test. Like, you can do it like sequential testing. And when I talk about sequential testing, it's not like, oh, like the actual definition of sequential testing. It's like, okay, let's first start with how it looks, and then let's second go like how it smells. But I just wanted to show people that there's a bunch of benefits that customers have mentioned that they got from the product. And I want to make sure that we mention and visualize those benefits in the product.
100%.
The second opportunity that these guys have is introducing a reviews filter. So let's go in the review section down here. So what these guys are using is actually the Trustpilot widget. And the actual reviews experience is quite poor. I don't think in general Trustpilot does a good job when it comes to like helping the user with the reviews. If you guys can see, it looks like there's a sort of like iframe embedded in the page. So I can only scroll down within that Trustpilot widget. So if I keep on scrolling down, I can't scroll down the entire page. There's a few problems. First of all, as I said, like you can only do it looks like they have an iframe within the page. There's some issue with seeing the load more reviews on mobile. I'm not gonna show you here because we're on desktop, but if you open up the website on mobile, it's actually difficult to scroll down. So there is some usability issue. And then my last point here is, here you have the load more reviews. So every time you need to, you want to see more reviews, you have to keep on clicking on that button. So my solution here is to actually introduce a reviews filter. And I don't know if Trustpilot allows you to do that. If not, I would totally switch reviews provider, try something else that is a little bit more advanced. Because Rishi, you and I spoke about the topic of reviews customers care about reviews. They help so much in the decision-making process. And
Absolutely.
having a basic review kind of like widget and experience doesn't help the user make a good choice and a good decision. Here I put the comparison. If I'm Italian guy, if I'm looking for reviews for an Italian restaurant based in London, I don't really care about reading reviews of Indian people talking about how that Italian restaurant looks like and how good or bad it is, right? Because Rishi's Indian and I'm Italian, and we have two completely different experiences and kind of like a past when it comes to Italian food. So why would I want to see all reviews of all the people, right? It doesn't make any sense. So what I want to kind of like introduce here is few filters that people can pick and choose. For example, just very simple stuff. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Number of stars. I can't pick and choose. I want to always look at the bad reviews because I want to see what people don't like about this product. I can't do that, right? I want to pick, I want to filter by the original color type. Again, what if I have dark brown? I want to see photos of all the people that have a dark brown hair and how the purple color looks like on their hair.
Yeah, and I would say that really matters, right? It really makes a difference.
Yeah, this is a visual product. I don't think you and I, after 19, 20 episodes, have spoken about or have reviewed any more visual product than this one, right?
Agreed.
Then the other one I had is what product has been tried before, because again, you have different bias if you have tried another product before, especially if you haven't had a good experience with that product. The before and after photos, this is a must, guys. Seriously, like in order to make a decision for this specific product, before and after photos are probably like you have the price on a product page. And obviously price is important. I would say before and after photos are at almost the same level as displaying the price.
No. And it's a very good point, because one of the things they talk about is 100% satisfaction guarantee. Well, let's think about this from a buyer's perspective. So I buy it, I put the color on my hair, it's shit. And now the company says, we'll take it back. Well, the cost to me is 10 times more, right? So the before after solves that for me.
Totally. Yeah. This is a good point, Rishi. Then other competitors that have been tried before, this is kind of similar to other products, so yeah, you could be combined. And then new to dyeing your hair,
super important.
Yeah, versus I've done that before. And then any other kind of like attribute or product dimension that matters to the customer. And in general, what I would do to decide about all these like product attributes, I would also kind of augment those different attributes. So come up with these different attributes based on some sort of like post-purchase reviews and analysis and surveys that you could be running.
Yeah, that's a really important point. I guess you should maybe spend another minute talking about this, because people would be looking at these segmentations or these categorizations and saying, well, how do we actually collect this information? Can you expand on that a little more, the post-purchase part?
Yeah, so I would say that the main goal here is to understand what matters to people when it comes to like whatever product you're selling, right? So what are the top main 3 things that matter to people? And, let's say in this case, they say ingredients. I don't know, I just made it up, right? And you want to go deeper in that. So make sure that when you ask that question in the post-purchase survey that you will be sending out, make sure to ask them to be as specific as possible. And even say, for example, ingredient is not specific enough. It's too generic. So please, if you're about to say ingredient, just expand on that, right? The final thing here, which another way to go about this is, not just with a simple post-purchase survey that you could be sending out to people, a few minutes after they bought, But this is something that you could be capturing once you send out that email to people asking to review the product. And you can say, okay, please, tell me like the most important attributes that you have chosen and tell me what you think about X, Y, and Z. So now you start collecting data that you will then send to like the reviews product widget, third-party partner that you use basically.
Yeah. How difficult would you say this is though? Is this
I would say this is I don't know anything about Trustpilot and how it works. Let's say Trustpilot is not the right provider, that doesn't have a lot of kind of like flexibility around filtering and so on. I honestly, if I were to work with this company, I would actually advise on changing the reviews partner and pick one that is more flexible about, okay, let's start collecting product attributes that we know matter to people, and then start sending out reviews email and asking people to rate. And when I talk about rate, I'm not saying 1 star out of 5. I'm talking about qualitative, open-ended qualitative data about each product attribute.
Awesome. Great episode. We were able to, I think, keep it in 30 minutes, I think. So
totally.